Well, it's exciting to get back on the court. We've had the Christmas break and been practicing, and I know our guys are looking forward to getting back out there and competing. It's a new season. Obviously, we finished the preseason, and now we start a new season, which is our conference play. So everyone starts back at 0-0 and starts, building from there. And that's what our goal is: take it one game at a time, and start with that approach. Demanding that we play a certain way to our standards every single night. It's very important for us, and that's what we're looking forward to doing as we start conference play.
Coach, you're up to your best start in your time here at UCF. Why is this team maybe better poised to be more competitive in the Big 12 than maybe some past teams?
Well, it's important for us to understand that I think we have some experience. We have some guys that have been in big moments before on different teams. I think that experience combined with what they've been able to do at their previous stops, I think will help them as we move into the Big 12. Obviously, this is the toughest league in college basketball. I think it's been rated that way the last 9 out of 12 years. Not me saying it's been rated. So our guys are understanding that when they came here, they will be playing in a conference that is going to be one of the best in college, and I think that says a lot about them, that they wanted to be a part of that, wanted to compete against these type of caliber teams.
Coach, big time matchup against Kansas to open up conference play. What would a first win mean in conference play to begin the season?
Well, they're all going to count the same for us. Of course, you want to try to start off as best as possible, but they're all going to count. They're all going to be one win and one loss as you're building, your resume through conference play. We've done the same thing through preseason. We didn't put too much on one game or another. We approached every game the same way, and I thought our guys did a really good job of staying focused with that. And we have to do the same thing through conference play. We have 18 conference games, and we need to take each one of them as individuals. We need to pour everything we can into the opponent that we're facing that's in front of us, and that's how we're going to look at it going forward, during conference play.
Coach, you preach defense. The Jayhawks are one of the top teams in the nation when it comes to blocking, defensive rebound, 3-point percentage, defense. When you scout them, what do you emphasize to your guys, whether it's offensively or to show them this is how it's done defensively?
Well, they're a very good defensive team. They're a very good offensive team as well. Coach Self does a great job with this group. He's done that, throughout his career there. They've had a lot of success. And for us, it still remains about us. We need to make sure we play for each other when we're out there on the floor. We need to make sure we understand the importance of that. We need to make sure we understand the importance of searching out good shots, and which is very important. They're very good defensively, and because of that, they can force you into taking some tough shots and shots that maybe are more ill-advised. We have to have more poise, amongst ourselves as individuals on the court, play for each other, and try to search out the best opportunities. And so that's kind of how we have to approach it.
Assembling an entirely new team, where do you think you are in establishing the defensive culture that has been a trademark of you?
We're still in the process of becoming the defensive team that we want to be. We're 1/3 through the season. I think we have a lot of room to grow in that area. But the good thing about our guys, there's a will. They want to do it. They're working towards it. It just takes a process, and it's not something that just comes, overnight or easily. The guys, especially different concepts. A lot of these players have played for 3-4 different coaches, and so that's 3-4 different systems. All the systems could have been really, really good, but the bottom line is they're coming into a new system, whether it's terminology, which is our defensive language, whether it's our positioning on the court. They've all played different ways, and so now they're trying to play our way. And this is the process. I think every day they get a little bit better at understanding what we want. They get a little better at executing, what we want them to do. And now, hopefully, as we enter conference play, we got a little better feel, and we can be, better as we go through conference play.
Coach, continuing with the defense, you guys have had double-digit steals in 2 of the last 3 games. Is that kind of where you want to hang your hat on that end?
We want to hang our hat really on just getting stops. It's not as much about us getting steals. We don't really play for those. Those are a byproduct of us hopefully guarding and being in the right position. But the main thing we want to do is get stops and rebounds, and that's something that we are, adamant about our guys understanding the importance. Getting a stop is one thing, but you also got to secure the ball afterwards. And I think our guys have gotten better in that area. And like I said, is there room for growth? Absolutely. But I think they're improving, game by game for us.
Johnny, you had another extended break before going into this game. What have you guys been working on to keep yourself sharp to avoid getting a little rusty going into that game on Saturday?
Well, we're trying to just, shore up all the things we felt in the preseason we could get better, which is, on both sides of the basketball, offensively, just working on just connecting and execution. Defensively, the same thing, working on where we're supposed to be position-wise defensively, finishing possessions off with the rebound. Things of that nature, just making sure we stay sharp. We did some scrimmaging, scrimmaged, we, did that as well, put crowd noise in there and scrimmage with crowd noise, giving our guys different looks. The fact that we had that break, I wanted to make sure we actually, got some reps in and competed against each other and try to simulate, a crowd as well, so our guys would get back into the, that frame of mind of what it's going to be like, when you, actually, put people in the arena.
Considering that the way the first half went against Kansas last year, the last two games you guys were down at the break, and both Gulf Coast and Florida Atlantic shot the ball particularly well. What kind of an emphasis do you have on starting faster in this particular game?
Well, that's one of the things we want to do. We want to start better, not just offensively, but start better defensively for us. Where we're understanding what we want to do defensively, understanding the game plan, and just executing that as we start. And so that's something that we talk to our players about. How we start. Is very important, and in every game. And so it's something that we're working towards.
Just talk about Kansas and the challenge that they presented. They're a very good block shot team, very good defensively. What stands out about Kansas? What will be the biggest challenge?
Well-coached team. They have a lot of talent. Those guys, play well together. I know he's kind of a new group as well. They play well together. I think I'm watching them play. I think their length, their athleticism on the front line, of course, is really good. And they have some experienced guys on the perimeter. They're a really good basketball team on both sides of the ball. I know we talk about their defensive, prowess and what they can do there, but they're a good offensive team as well. They run good actions. They play off each other well. And so the challenge for us is going to be to make sure we understand the importance of every possession, whether it's offensively or defensively, and make sure that we're totally focused in on that one possession and looking to do the best we can in that position.
Do one or two of their players kind of jump out when you watch film that'll be a challenge, to try to contain?
I think they have it's a really good team. Of course, they have a young freshman. Patterson's very, very talented. Trey White on the perimeter. Young man Council. I can go down the line with this. Got Bedanga. Tiller. Should I keep going? I like all their players. They all are very capable. I think they've all had good moments throughout the preseason, and that's what makes a good team. I think all those guys have had their moments where they've stepped up and helped those guys, win games and play well in a lot of games.
Coach, we've spoke about it. This team has had a great start to the non-conference season. Is there anything impactful that you learned about your team during the preseason, maybe that can represent the success that you guys had and look to have in Big 12 play?
Well, for us, it's just mainly, our guys have been very competitive, all summer, in all preseason, and I think that's the main thing that we've been able to do during these preseason games. I think we've, had a strong will to compete, strong will to win, and that's something that, you like to see in guys. But you saw it, this summer in June and July, just competing against ourselves every day, just how competitive they were, and that's carried over. I mean, whether we've been up in games, down in games, the one thing I have never questioned is just their effort and their will to win.
What about the response to adversity?
We still face that. We faced adversity through the preseason in a number of our games, whether we've been down, whether we know, of course, Vandy, we lost that game. We've been down in multiple games where our guys have had to, understand what we have to do to come back. And they've been willing to do it. They've been willing to dig deep and find ways to win. And that's what you have to have. I mean, in conference play, it's going to be like that every single night. You're going to be up games, down games. Games are going to be, played with a lot of intensity. And you have to find ways to be successful.
Coach, right over here, sorry. This 11-1 record-breaking start also comes from an entirely new roster, with the exception of Warren and Crow compared to the 24-25 season. What differences are you seeing from the previous season's roster compared to this one?
Well, I mean, they all are uniquely different. Every team is different. And this team, of course, is not like last year's team, and that team's not like the year before because you have all new personnel. The main thing is that we stay consistent with our culture and our standards. We've tried to maintain those with every group that we've had. And so they understand, what our standards are. They understand the things that we're preaching. And hopefully that starts to build a culture, even though you can't build it now, counting on kids to be there 3 and 4 years. They may be there 9 months. But during those 9 months, you're still going to preach the same things that you've done to be successful before. And that's what we're going to continue to preach: how hard you got to defend, how well you got to rebound. I've seen this conference. It's physical, it's tough, and our guys got to understand that. And that's what we've been preaching all through the preseason. We preach it all through the summer. And hopefully it resonates as we go into conference play.
You've benefited from depth so far this season. Do you anticipate shortening the bench as conference play gets going, or do you continue to substitute liberally?
Well, our players always determine that for me. I like playing with depth. I think our strength is not numbers here, and I think we've done that almost every year. We play, with a fairly deep bench unless we've had injuries, and we're going to continue to do that unless our players determine that's not, what we're capable of doing. As long as we have, 8, 9, 10 players that are capable of, contributing and helping us, I like to make sure our guys have those opportunities. And so, yeah, if that doesn't, work out for us, of course we'll look at shortening it. But if our guys continue to play for each other, continue to bring the effort and energy and that pace themselves on the floor, then we can play more guys. And I think to us that's been an advantage because, maybe we're not the same, 1 through 5 as some of these teams may be in conference play, but we're able to play 9 or 10 guys. And so when 9, 10 guys are able to play for 40 minutes, hopefully we can play with a little more effort, a little more energy than someone who may have to play 37 minutes or 35 minutes in a game.
What's the health of the team going into the opener? Everybody available?
Our other team is fine. Our guys are healthy, excited to get going.
Couple more?
Coach, what do you expect to learn from your team in tomorrow's game?
Not sure, I just want to see our guys continue to compete at a high level. That's what they've done, throughout the preseason. I like to see them continue that because formula for success will be just how hard you go out there and play, how smart you out there making decisions, and are you willing to play together. If you can do those 3 things, you give yourself a chance every night. And so harder, smarter, more together is kind of what I want to see our guys do, and that's what we've done in the preseason. I want to see us continue to build on that.
Having gone through the league twice now, how do you prepare these guys not only for the first game, but the immediate turnaround of having to get on a plane to go to Oklahoma State on Tuesday?
Well, like I said, these guys, the one thing they love to play. The guys we usually bring here, gym rats, they want to be in the gym. They want to be competing. And so I'm sure they'd rather be doing that than probably practicing with me every day. So I think that, they'll be excited to play in these games and compete in these games, one after another. It's just a function of the preparation now starts to change. We've had, some extended breaks, this December. And so now in January, we won't have those breaks as much. So we'll be playing, like we did in November, a couple of days in the game of prep, a couple of days play, a couple of days play. And so our guys got to get back into that routine again. But I think they really enjoy that routine. I know I did as a player, and I'm sure they do too, because it's either that or seeing all the coaches in practice for 7, 8 straight days. I think they'd like to be in the gym competing against someone else.
Coach, I know you're splitting this between preseason and a new season for conference, but winning as many games as you did, having this kind of win streak, what does that do for this team going into tomorrow?
Well, I think it gives us confidence and belief that we can compete. I think they've shown that throughout the preseason, and that's all you can ask for. I think our guys, learn to play with each other. That was very important because, trying to get our chemistry and continuity with a whole new roster is very challenging. And I give these guys a lot of credit for, trusting us, for one, developing a relationship with each other for another, and then competing the way they have. And so now what we want to do is we want to continue to carry that over into conference play, all the lessons that we learned from each other, throughout, the preseason.
Last one.
Coach, today marks the first time your program is submitting a player availability report with the Big 12's new policy. You saw football do it during their fall season. Wanted to get your thoughts on that new policy and what's it like having to do that now?
Well, it's something different, so we have to get used to it. It used to be a time where you didn't know if a player was going to be eligible until right before the game, maybe 10 minutes before the game started. And so now you have the added advantage of knowing who's going to be available and who's not. I'm not sure if there's any right or wrong, answer to that. I just come from a generation where that wasn't the case, and now so you're having to submit it early. So the art of surprise as a competitor is now kind of taken away because the coach over there has to wonder if my best player, if he's playing tomorrow or not. He doesn't know. But now they'll know it ahead of time so they can plan and prepare because these guys are all very good at what they do or they wouldn't have these jobs. And so it just gives guys more time to prepare, knowing that who's going to be in the game and who's not.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
See you tomorrow.
All right.